Hey everyone, and welcome back. Ready for another deep dive?
Definitely.
Awesome. So today we're looking at Thailand,
Okay.
specifically their new e-visa system.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, it launches on January 1st, 2025. We found this really interesting article from the Asian News Network all about it. And, we want to understand, not just what the new system is, but, why. What does this new system tell us about Thailand's overall tourism strategy, especially, post-COVID and everything?
Right.
So first things first. From what I gathered, Thailand's launching this new e-visa system, like I said, January 1st, 2025. And it'll be available at 94, I think, Thai embassies and consulates all around the world.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. And their big goal, at least what they say, is to make applying for a visa way smoother, more efficient for travelers.
That makes sense. I mean, their slogan is apply anywhere, anytime. So
Yeah.
they're definitely trying to make it as easy as possible for people to visit.
Yeah, for sure. And the article highlights all these, benefits, less paperwork, faster processing times, even better security screening, all that stuff.
Yeah, and going digital like this, a lot of countries are doing this now. I mean, it really streamlines the whole visa process. And I think it probably cuts down on, opportunities for, corruption.
Oh, for sure. That
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. But this e-visa system, it's not for everyone who wants to go to Thailand.
Right. It's mainly for travelers who currently need a visa to get in. So anyone who's from those, 93 countries with visa exemption agreements, they don't need to worry about it.
Oh, right. And that includes China now, too, right? I think they got that 60-day visa exemption back in July.
Exactly. So basically, Thailand is focusing on making the visa process easier for specific groups of travelers, those who wouldn't normally have it so easy getting into Thailand.
That's actually a really smart approach. It allows them to really target their resources where they're most needed. And it all ties back into their bigger tourism goals, right? I mean, they're aiming for a pretty significant rebound after COVID, hoping for something like 36.7 million foreign arrivals just in 2024.
Yeah, and as of early October, they'd already had 26.6 million, so they're well on their way to reaching that goal.
It seems like this e-visa system could be a pretty key part of hitting that target, even exceeding it maybe.
Yeah, for sure. It's all part of the bigger picture. But it's not just about getting those numbers up, right? I mean, the Tourism Authority of Thailand, the TA, they've got some really interesting plans for 2025. They seem to be moving away from this idea of just mass tourism and are starting to focus more on certain types of tourists.
Right, what kinds of tourists are they trying to attract?
Well, the article mentioned things like wellness tourism, luxury experiences, sports tourism, romantic getaways, stuff like that.
Interesting. So they're focusing on niche markets.
Exactly. And I think it's a smart move, especially after COVID. People are looking for those more unique, kind of personalized travel experiences.
That's true. It's not just about checking things off a list anymore. People want something more meaningful.
Exactly. And these kinds of tourists, they tend to spend more money, which is obviously good for Thailand's economy.
Right. So by catering to these specific interests, Thailand is positioning itself as a more, desirable destination, maybe even a bit more high-end.
Possibly. I mean, they are partnering with luxury brands to create some of these experiences.
Makes sense. But it's not just about tourism either, is it? I mean, the foreign minister has said they want Thailand to become a global hub, not just for tourism, but also for business and international exchange and all that.
Absolutely. And making the visa process easier is a huge part of that. I mean, if you want to attract businesses and investors, you've got to make it easy for them to come and go, bring in their employees and all that.
Right. So it's all connected. Tourism, business, global relations, they're all kind of intertwined in Thailand's strategy.
Yeah. And I think that raises some really interesting questions about what this means for Thailand in the long run. So we've talked about how Thailand wants to attract specific types of tourists and investors, but I mean, what does that actually mean for Thailand, for the future of the country? What are the the potential impacts of this shift, good and bad?
Well, the article kind of touches on that. The Asian News Network article, they talk about how the Tourism Authority of Thailand, the Thayat, is really pushing these niche markets, wellness and luxury and all that. And it makes me wonder, will this change, will it change the type of traveler who chooses Thailand as a destination?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, Thailand has always been a popular destination for budget travelers, especially backpackers. But if it becomes more about these luxury experiences and high-end stuff, will that push those travelers out? Will Thailand become, I don't know, more exclusive, less accessible?
Right. And what about the cultural impact. If Thailand starts to be known for fancy resorts and these really like manufactured experiences, what will that do to the local communities? Will it change, the overall feel of the country?
It's a tricky balance, you know. They want to attract investment and boost their economy, but they also want to keep that unique culture, that character that makes Thailand so special.
And it's not just tourists we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, if Thailand wants to be this hub for international business, they're going to see more, more expats, more foreign companies coming in. That could be good for the economy, but it could also, I don't know, change the social fabric of the country.
Yeah, totally. It's like a domino effect. You make one change and it can set off a whole chain reaction. It's hard to say how it'll all play out.
For sure. I mean, Thailand's like in transition right now. They're trying to figure out how to navigate this post-COVID world and find their place in the global landscape, which is always changing, right?
Definitely. And, the article mentioned that Thailand is going to be promoting things like international music festivals, conferences, fashion shows, stuff like that. That definitely seems geared towards attracting a different type of visitor than, maybe they were used to.
Right, and all those partnerships with luxury brands, that really reinforces this new direction. They're serious about becoming a big player in these like specific markets.
Yeah, but it does make you wonder about like the people who've been going to Thailand for years, the loyal travelers. Will they still feel welcome? Will they still find those experiences they're looking for? Or will it, I don't know, will it just become a completely different place?
I mean, those are questions we can't answer right now. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But I think it's important to keep those questions in mind as we watch how Thailand's strategy unfolds over the next, couple of years.
For sure. And it brings up a bigger point, I think, this whole thing with globalization and technology. It's changing travel so fast, and countries have to adapt and travelers have to like stay informed and be open to those changes.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's an exciting time to travel for sure, but it also requires a bit more, I don't know, awareness.
Yeah.
And flexibility maybe than it used to.
Absolutely. And I think our deep dive into Thailand, this whole e-visa thing, it's a really good example of that. It seems like a simple change, just an online visa application, but it can actually signal some pretty big changes happening in a country.
It's a good reminder that travel isn't just about, going to places and checking them off a list. It's about understanding all these complex things that shape the places we visit. Culture, economics, global trends, all of it.
Well said. And I think on that note, it's time for my final thoughts on what this all means for Thailand and for travelers like us.
So we've covered, like, a lot, this whole e-visa system, Thailand's new tourism strategy, all the potential impacts, good and bad, on travelers and on Thailand itself. As we wrap this up, I mean, what's the main takeaway here? What should our listeners be thinking about? Whether they're planning a trip or just, I don't know, just thinking about Thailand and its future.
Well, I think the main thing to remember is this. Thailand's changing. The e-visa system, it's really just one part of this much bigger shift. They're adapting after COVID, trying to attract a whole new kind of tourist and investor.
And like you said, it's not just about numbers, right? It's about the kind of traveler they want to attract, the kind of experience they want to create.
Right, exactly. It's a deliberate choice, focusing on quality over quantity, niche market, specialized experiences, all that. And it could change, the entire tourism landscape in Thailand. It's a big deal.
It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Will they actually be successful in attracting these, higher spending tourists? Will this lead to, I don't know, a more sustainable kind of tourism, a more culturally sensitive kind of tourism?
And will it benefit the Thai people? I mean, that's the most important question, right?
Yeah, totally. And I guess only time will tell. But I think for now, we just got to stay informed, keep an open mind, and when we travel, just be curious and respectful of the places we visit and the people who live there.
I love that. Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to leave our listeners with something to think about. One last question to kind of ponder.
Okay, I'm ready. Hit me with it.
Here it is. As Thailand changes, as they embrace this new direction, what role do we, as travelers, play in shaping their future?
Wow, that's a really good question, and I hope our listeners will think about that as they continue to explore the world. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Thailand and its tourism strategy. It's been really interesting. And until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those passports ready.